All right, now the first concept we have to talk about is by far the most important thing to understand when it comes to being a great iron player, and that is controlling the low point. I'm going to say that again because you're going to hear me say this phrase a lot. We need to be able to control the low point. So, what is low point? Every golf swing, basically for all practical purposes, is a circle. So I've got my handy dandy hula hoop here. Now, everybody's circle is a little bit different, right? Your circle or your golf swing is going to be a little different than mine and the next person. But for all practical purposes, in a simplified kind of just overall visual, your golf swing is like a circle or kind of like a hula hoop on an angle. So the low point is the point at which the club is traveling at its lowest point, i.e. low point. So it doesn't matter what your golf swing looks like, your golf swing has a low point. And in order to be a great iron player, you have to be able to consistently control that low point. So let's look at the hula hoop here as kind of an example. So at the bottom of the hula hoop, that's the lowest point. And when the club works away from the golf ball, it starts to work in a little bit, but it also works up in the backswing. When it travels back down and forward, the club travels down and back towards the ball. It's working downward. And then after the low point, it starts to work up. So if I can control this lowest spot, I can control contact, which is the key to being a great iron player. Now there's multiple things that can affect that, and we're going to talk about 3 of the most important ones here in just a minute. But in order to be a great iron player, we're saying you have to control that low point. And in golf terms, golf instructors, we call that angle of attack, AOA, angle of attack. You hear that phrase a lot in golf instruction, whether you're talking about drivers or irons. Now, generally speaking, a good angle of attack, for an iron shot is going to be somewhere between 2 and 4 or 5 degrees down, depending upon your golf swing, what club you're hitting, the philosophy of the golf instructor, those types of things. But the point to take away from this just a little brief discussion here is this. Everybody has a low point. I don't care what your golf swing looks like, what your hula hoop looks like, there's a spot where the club is at its lowest point. If we want to be a good iron player, we have to be able to control that spot. We're going to talk about that. A good angle of attack, a good downward motion of 2 to 4 degrees, roughly speaking, is the perfect spot for an iron player. So there's 3 reasons why people basically can't control their low point, or the most common ones. I'm going to talk to you about those. Number 1 is pressure on the feet, okay? The second one we also talk about is understanding wrist angles and how our hands work. I kind of call it basically like face control position. And then the other one is swing direction. So those are the 3 things we're going to talk about. Pressure on the feet, wrist angles, or we call it face control, okay? And then also swing direction. Let's talk about, first of all, pressure on the feet. It's time to get after that.